there is a space for everybody in this work that we do.
A lot of men want to do something to prevent violence against women.
Hi, I'm Shane Tass.
And I'm Cameron McDonald. Over the decades, there's been a lot of work done in the prevention of men's violence against women. Some gains have been made, but of course, we still have a long way to go to live in a world where women can live free from violence, free from objectification, and free from any forms of inequality.
Most of this work to date has been done by women. In order to continue making real progress and end this problem once and for all, more men need to be actively involved in the solutions.
And while different men do not hold equal amounts of power, men as a group still hold the most powerful positions in our society, such as in politics and business. Therefore, men can and should play an active role in being a part of the solution.
So what can men do to help drive change? We asked some practitioners, allies, and each other why we care about ending violence against women and why we're involved in the work.
Well, the data tells us that majority perpetrated violence against men, women, gender diverse people is by men. So to prevent this happening, that's where we need to go.
But if we look at primary prevention, which is about implementing whole of population approaches in all the spaces that everyone inhabits, we need to be working with men if we're going to prevent this violence, because we know that violence is gendered and that it's still largely men who are perpetrating most of the violence against people of all genders.
I think men do actually play a vital role in this space, and we shouldn't leave all of the work for preventing violence against women to women or gender diverse people.
I think it's really important that men and boys in Australia engage with this conversation and really engage their curiosity. I think that there's really transformative benefits for everyone by getting involved in this, and women are calling out and asking for men to take action.
For men, there is that role, and understanding, where they fit in, and that there is a space for everybody in this work that we do.
This is a men's issue, so as individuals, we need to talk about that more.
I do this job because I believe that men want to enjoy their relationships, they want to be good fathers and better partners and get the most out of that, and I believe they can.
One way that men can inspire other men is really to model those good behaviours, to model different ways of being. And to do that means you actually have to do quite a lot of work on yourself first.
Look at the ways that we can actually assist women to pick up positions of power within our organisations, within our governments, so that the decisions that are being made at the top level aren't all being made by men.
And there's also many different ways that you can create change within, whether it's your friendship group, your family, within your community, whether that is, making that change within yourself and reflecting that to others, or it is calling it out.
And we look at social media, we look at TV, there's a very skewed version of what being a man and a role model is.
It's important that we're not riding in with our shining armour on our horses to try and fix the whole problem, because that means that we're not listening to the needs of women.
Obviously, it's really important for us to intervene when we see sexist and disrespectful behaviours, but I think it's even more important that we move our thinking more upstream. Especially as men, what are ways that we can intervene much earlier in the process, before disrespectful, harmful, or even abusive things happen? Upstream bystander interventions would include men just having those conversations with other men, with boys, because we don't know which man it's going to be, which boy it is in our life who might not be clear on what consent is, who might try to blur the lines. And so we need to be having those conversations all the time, and we need to be having them preemptively to do what we can to stop those incidents of rape and sexual assault from happening in the first place.
When you come across instances of gender inequality or disrespect towards women in your circles of influence, then it's important that you actually make a stand and do something about it. And there are many ways you can do that. Maybe it's, if you're starting out, maybe you hear the sexist joke and you're not one of the blokes that's laughing at it.
The most offensive thing that a man can say to another man is, "You're acting like a woman." As a woman, that's a lot to stomach. Men have to stop doing that. So if you catch yourself joking around with another guy and putting him down, even if it's in humour, and whatever you're saying is indicating that he's feminine somehow, and that's the insult, stop it. Stop those jokes. And people who don't laugh at those jokes don't have a chip on their shoulder. They're just advanced in their understanding.
The minute I start talking about this or pulling up a friend or a colleague, is they put up barriers. There's 1,000 excuses. I didn't really mean what I said. That's not what but you said it.
A lot of men want to do something to prevent violence against women or to speak up about gender inequality, but don't have the tools or don't know how. So have a think about what is something that you can do. It might just be one thing to start with.
I think men, particularly those from migrant and refugee backgrounds, can really play an important part in being allies, understanding the ideas of equality. Coming together as a community is a strength that multicultural communities have there, and particularly for the men, I do believe that that's a really important part that they can play in prevention of family violence.
When we're talking about this stuff, it can bring up some pretty big feelings, and finding a way to process those feelings, to sit with them, to reflect on them, and to feel okay with them is a really important part of doing this, I think.
The more you start to do these things, the more you find that there were more people that were uncomfortable in that situation than just you.
There are actually men doing this work, turning up everywhere, the schools, the sporting clubs, the on-site and high vis. There's not enough. We need more.
A lot of people sometimes can say that we're trying to strip masculinity from the world. There are positive ways to be masculine. So it's important that we give men the opportunity to show those traits.
But it's also about listening and learning. So for leaders to sit and listen and learn from the women who are impacted by this. So they need to hear it firsthand.
And I think I just encourage young men and boys, again, to find like-minded people, challenge each other and have those conversations with one another. That creates the power to change the culture.
The ocean is made up of individual droplets that fall from the sky over a mountain range that turn into a river that flow back into an ocean. So when people tell me what's one voice going to do, how is one voice going to make a difference? It'll make a difference. Just be brave, just be strong. Be vulnerable.
So just be that person that speaks up, and I think you'll have, your allies in that space within seconds.
It's actually not that far away. Think about where we were 20 years ago. We weren't having conversations about racism, about homophobia, or about gender, and now we are having them. And it's hard, and some people are angry about that or scared. But if we keep pushing, I'm pretty sure we're going to get there.
Don't walk past it, because it's too important to walk past.
I think that we're on the edge of something really exciting.